I was gonna ask, like, for our name, should we be TNT since it's Tony and Tom?
Dude, I love it. I love it. With little AC/DC in the background, Dynamite.
Or I was thinking that because we're good buddies, we should be the GB. Because instead of the governing body, we're good buddies.
There you go, man. We're going to be the yin to their yang. Take those assholes down. I think you've got about 300 different douchebag stories up on YouTube. I'm just kind of getting mine out. And I had a hard time thinking of stories that I haven't told you personally. But, yeah, I got three that I have. I got three.
I just love to hate. Don't douchebag. You all.
Alright, well, let's start with JW douchebag number 1. Alright, we had an elder at our Kingdom Hall. His name was Brother Stevens. And, you know those old cantankerous elders that should have been put out to pasture a long time ago, but has so much clout that nobody says anything? Well, they end up becoming elder in name only, but this guy wouldn't accept that time. So this is back, I don't know, late 80s, mid 80s. And there's a country in Africa by the name of, I think it's pronounced Niger. Not really too sure of the pronunciation, but
you have to be very careful how you pronounce that country there.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess that you might be able to figure out the way this story is going to go.
I think I'm going to guess what's going to happen next, but continue, please.
Yes. Brother Stevens was given the closing prayer. And some of our brothers and sisters were experiencing some trials and tribulations in that particular country.
No.
Yes. And Brother Stevens decided to add an extra letter to that country. And yes. So he says, we want to all keep in mind our brothers in this particular country, not pronounced the way it should be. And he follows it up by... He follows it up by saying right after that, as we all know, that's in Africa. And yes. So even, you know, the audience had to be reminded of where this this very racist country is. It's in Africa, and you would have thought that perhaps he mentioned it a couple times in the prayer, and you would have thought that somebody would have counseled him or said something to him about it. But this became a recurring prayer, a recurring theme in his prayers. For the remainder of the year, he just could not get that pronunciation right. And we had a very...
Oh, heaven.
Yes.
Nobody said anything to him?
If they did...
Nobody came up to him after the meeting and whispered something to him.
I do not know. I don't know if this came from being the man and his wife were old timers, and he had this persistent, nonstop frown on his face, you know. And this might have been the way he wanted to go out in this world by making a statement about his personal beliefs, man.
Wow, that's heavy, dude.
Yeah.
I can do you one better though.
Oh, tell me, please.
I mean that one's a shock to the system, but I got to relate to you about a Sunday meeting I was at several years back, in which the visiting speaker, he didn't show up, and so they proceed with what they do is when the speaker from out of town is a no-show or they don't know where he is, they begin with the Watchtower study, and if the guy still doesn't show up, then they'll have a local brother give their tired old talk.
Oh yeah, I've seen that backup system work before.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the guy doesn't show up, so they start having the Watchtower study before the public talk, and they call on this woman. It's this woman like in her 70s. She's one of those old ladies with the white hair that wears the sunglasses and all, and she's this decrepit old woman. And the Watchtower article was something about being punctual at meetings.
Uh-huh.
And this woman, I'm not going to attempt to paraphrase what the woman said, but she started talking about how some cultures think it's okay to be late coming places. It's called brown time. And she started just expounding on how certain types of people live by brown time. and they're just always late.
Oh, shit, man. You are kidding me.
There's silence. You can hear a pin drop. You got it. This was even, I mean, it was there was a lot of tension in that room, and there was kind of people going, ooh, and everything, because there was missing people. Well, what I did notice was that the guy who was giving the talk, he's this really corny guy. Well, anyway, he's there. Him and his wife get there. They're there like 20 minutes late, but they're sitting in the back there. Well, anyway, like that was like the atomic bomb of the Watchtower study. And because the woman was old, there's one of those comments that went on for 5 minutes, and she's just talking about how it's certain cups. There's some people call it black time, some people call it brown time. Anyway, well, this corny guy with mustache who was given the public talk, he goes up to the stage after the Watchtower study, and he said, well, first I apologize for being a little bit late this morning. I just want to assure you that it was not because of brown time. He had a big smile on his face, and nobody laughed. I mean, dead silent. And he gave it like 5 seconds, waiting for the laugh or the snicker or somebody to smile. Just everyone in the audience is like statues.
Oh my
God! I mean, that joke bombed. And the guy was standing there with a big smile, waiting for someone, and then he was like, "Oh, anyway, and he like went into his talk, but that was an awkward morning. So,
oh my God! This lady should.
As far as commentary on people's cultures and ethnicity, but even at the Kingdom Hall, you better just not to go there.
Yeah,
just don't do it.
Back in the 80s.
Don't do it.
Well, back in the 80s, the old people could get a pass because you could say, well, no, that was just the culture. That's the way the world was back in. That was the way it was. But, man, nowadays, most of those people that thought that way should pretty much be dead by now. So I don't know that could be pulled in the hall now, at least not with some serious ass beatings in the parking lot. Oh, my God. Well, let me tell you about another one. All right, there was a family. This would be candidate number 2 for me. This guy, his name was Tim Armstrong, and he had a large family. His wife, he had 4 young boys, all between the ages of maybe 4 and 12, and they were the type of people that they would have taken great offense to Brother Stephen's prior comment that I was mentioning. I'm just trying to give you a good picture of them. And he was a newly converted brother. Boy, was he zealous. I mean, this guy he ate, slept, and breathed Watchtower within just a few short years. And to be commended, I mean, he never missed a meeting. He was out in service twice a week. But do you remember, J-Dub, back in the late 80s when putting a system, getting some bass in your car was the thing to do?
Getting what? Oh, you mean good loudspeakers?
Oh, yeah, dude. The late 80s.
Late 80s, early 90s, everyone wanted bass.
Everyone
wanted those Alpines to rattle.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Tim Armstrong, he was no exception to that. He had a car that was probably worth maybe about $1,000 at the most, maybe even less than that. We're going back 20 years, 25 years. But he put a system in it that was probably, I don't know, 3 times the value of the vehicle. That wasn't something that was unheard of back then, but Brother Armstrong, Tim, every Sunday we'd be out in the parking lot, and from about a mile away you could hear boom, 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 boom. And you knew that Brother Armstrong was going to be pulling into the parking lot. Him, his wife, and his 4 young boys. But Brother Armstrong was not the type to be playing any 2 Live Crew or, anything with some heavy bass. What do you think Brother Armstrong would play every Sunday?
No.
Yes.
It's not praises to Jehovah.
Yes, it is sing praises to Jehovah. You could hear the bass about maybe a minute before you actually heard the mid-range and treble kick in. And
he was pulling people's windows out with Kingdom Melody.
Oh my God. And he would come in, he would have the windows down, and you could hear it right around when he was making the turn. You could hear him singing at about the same volume as the mid-range and treble speakers. And it was a different Kingdom melody every day. And you heard this thundering praises to Jehovah with this black man singing so soulfully as they pulled into the parking lot, and all four boys just mortified with their heads down. This went on until I think his system got stolen, and that, you know, that quieted things down a bit.
Well, you almost have to admire his tenacity, but I don't think, I think this guy was out to lunch in a large way, because the way that the big speakers, it started as thugs terrorizing the neighborhood.
Yeah.
They would drive up and down the street, just making people's storm windows on their house shake. And
yeah.
It was, you know, it's almost like an attack on the neighborhood of saying, it's basically like a big FU to everyone, saying, I'm a badass, you know.
Yeah, I was one of those punks.
You can't, it just does not, it does not mesh with the new personality. I got to follow up on that. I remember one time I was with my friend Jeremiah. When I was a young man, I was probably 18. He was in his early 20s, and we were driving down. We were on our way back from service, and we had his younger brother who was like 15 in the car, and we're driving down the street. This guy, I don't remember what it was, or something like that, but Jeremiah whipped around the corner real fast, and this guy's daughter was almost like getting ready to cross the street. He didn't see her or whatever like that, but she had to jump back onto the curb and everything, and Jeremiah just like, he's oblivious to it, he's just zipping by. Well, anyway, her dad is standing out in front of their shop, and he yells something, and he flips us off, and everything, and Jeremiah, and we're driving by at like 30 miles an hour. Jeremiah slams on his brake, he's like, Arr! And then he throws it in reverse, and he goes, Arr! And everything. And he gets back, and I'm like, oh, shit. And Jeremiah jumps out of the car and everything, and it's this like dad guy that's standing there, and Jeremiah jumps up to him, and he's like, what are you got a problem with all this and everything? And the guy was like, yeah, you almost hit my daughter. He's like, what were you talking about? And I was like, Jeremiah, there's a kid who's going to cross the sidewalk and everything. Anyway, long story short, then he's like, and the guy's like, and everything. And then Jeremiah gets back in the car, and I remember that I just turned to Jeremiah and I said, nobody's intimidated by a Jehovah's Witness. You can't jump out of a car wearing a suit and a tie on a Sunday, and anybody thinks you're going to beat their ass. And it dawned on me. He's like, yeah, you're right. We have book bags, we have Watchtowers in the back window, and everything. It's like, you can't be a tough guy and a Jehovah's Witness. It just can't work. Nobody's scared of a Jehovah's Witness.
That's commendable, dude. That's commendable for him to be able to.
The elders, but that's as far as it goes. There's nobody on this earth. That's why you get no respect when you go through a door, because there's nothing to respect, and nobody's afraid of you. You're a religious person with a Bible and everything, and that's why guys. I remember, like back in the '90s, there was guys that would be like, "Yeah, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, I'm pioneering, but I'm also in a band." They'd have a garage band, and they'd be like, "Yeah, we covered Nirvana songs and everything like that." And to me, I just couldn't get into it, because I'm like, how are you gonna be a Jehovah's Witness and have a hardcore band on the weekends where it's like, then they turn the volume, I turn my speakers up to 10 and break off the knob, and they play guitar and everything, and I was like, I guess it's an outlet where you vent and everything.
Yeah.
But how can you be a hardcore witness? You just can't.
No.
I mean, you can be a Kenny G witness. You can be a Michael Bolton witness. You can't be a tough JW.
No, man, you can't be a Tupac witness.
And so, this brother who was, I guess the brother just had music in his heart where he wanted to blast that system. But again, I'm sorry, I gotta hit the thumbs down button.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Okay, let's go to douchebag candidate number 3. Now, this is back in this would have been around 1995, and you know how I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan, right? I mean, I'll make a defense for that guy, mostly just because I love the music so much. But Michael Jackson was coming out with a new CD, and it was called History, and this was his big comeback the first track, you remember he did that song Scream with Janet Jackson, and it was him lashing out at the people talking against him. Well, I happen to be, this story is kind of about me. I happen to be in a record store. You remember those, right? J-Dub record stores.
They're going the way of the dinosaur.
Unfortunately.
There's not too many kids with headphones on that are going to remember them, but yeah.
No.
I used to love them.
Yes, me too. Yes. So I go into the record store. It was the debut of that album. And there was our local ABC News affiliate happened to be there. And they had these stations set up in the music store, Specs Music, where you could put on the headphones and you could listen to the first 10 or 20 seconds of a particular track, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm getting ready to buy the CD, and but I'm listening to a couple of the tracks beforehand, and the lady that's doing this broadcast for ABC News for the evening news, she comes in and she's like, Sir, I see you're sampling, listening to Michael Jackson's new album. What do you have to say about it? And I kind of, so I kind of bust out laughing, and I tell her, and she's like, what's so funny? I said, right now, I said, every hee-hee I hear, I think of him, I can picture him grabbing his crotch. And so she gets a little chuckle out of that, and, you know, I recorded it at home. I knew it was going to be a little snippet on the news, and, you know, I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. And so the next meeting I go to, I get approached by an elder. And he says, hey, Tony, can we, me and Brother Perry, I believe, we need to have a talk with you after the meeting. And I said, okay, sure, no problem. And so I meet with them in the back after the meeting, and they said, a sister has come to it's come to attention that you were on the news the other night, were you? And I said, oh, yeah, I was. Well, it's been reported that you said that Michael Jackson makes you want to grab your crotch.
What?
Yes. It turned out that the presiding overseer's wife had been watching that broadcast, and what I said was, I'm laughing because I'm just picturing him grabbing his crotch, but she said that I said, Michael Jackson makes me want to grab my crotch. And...
No.
Yes. So what I had to do, J-Dub, is I had to say to the elders, well, I did not say that, but I recorded the tape. Do you want me to bring it in? And I was thinking that they would say, no, that's good enough. No, J-Dub, I had to bring in the tape to make a defense for myself against that statement, and the elders did view the tape and came to find out that I did not say what the lady said she thought I said. But I had my first kind of little judicial meeting about Michael Jackson.
Wow. Well, a couple of things, if you want me to weigh in. First
of all,
that woman was just being a bitch. That woman was just being a bitch. Because anyone that sees that or hears that is immediately going to say, he was just talking about Michael Jackson grabbing his crotch, which is a dance move. Nobody watches a Michael Jackson video and say, I want his crotch.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. And why would somebody say that on a new... That woman was just trying to start trouble.
Stir the shit.
It's a pandemic of JWs. At the Kingdom Hall, there's always somebody that's wanted to start something for the sake of starting something. There were no genuine misunderstandings there. Nobody is going to it doesn't matter if the person's 90 years old. They're not going to misunderstand that statement. Everybody knows you're referring to Michael Jackson. You're not referring to yourself.
Right.
That's idiotic.
Right. You know, that snitch mentality. See, I mean, that's when, you know, I would have been around 22 then, and that's when I really started to live my life to where I had to just assume that anything I said or did could be misconstrued, and that I was living in a snitch society. You know, it's just, I don't know, dude. It's crazy. But,
well, let's zoom the camera out and look at the bigger picture here. Here's the problem. Stories like this are a dime a dozen. Everybody's got a story just like this. And I do too. I remember when I was 16, 17, there was a girl at the Kingdom Hall. Her name was her last name was Crowder, and I didn't even really know her. She was just some ugly girl with a ponytail or whatever. But she said that she saw me smoking a cigarette in a parking lot. I've done a lot of naughty things in my life, but I'm not a smoker.
Right.
I'm just not. Anyway, she went to the elders. I never talked to her, was the thing. But she went to the elders and said that she saw me at the mall parking lot just standing outside smoking a cigarette. And it didn't go anywhere because I was an elders kid.
Right.
And my dad just, he handled it and everything. But the thing is, in every kingdom hall, there's people accusing someone else through the elders. But it's not supposed to work that way.
Exactly.
There's a biblical system there where it says in the Bible that if you remember your brother has something against him, you're supposed to go to him personally.
Direct.
There's a step-by-step thing that the Watchtower endorses. But the Watchtower says if you feel that someone has sinned and it's a serious sin that you can't overlook, you're supposed to go to them, talk to them face to face. If they rebuff you, then you're supposed to get another run-of-the-mill JW. But not an elder. You're supposed to get another random JW. Go back with them again and see if you can't straighten it out. And then, if that doesn't work, then you're supposed to go to an elder. But I got to ask you, Tony, when have you ever heard of anybody going through this process?
Never. And that's what, I don't know when this...
When?
No, and when do you think that this started happening? Because that's been the way it's been ever since I can remember. People just went directly to the elders in a snitching system that's no different than kids at school with the teachers. You know, hey, Mrs. Crane, I gotta tell you, Timmy there, he's chewing gum. They'll bypass this 3-tier system, this process that's meant to... I mean, even common sense tells you that that should be the compassionate thing. If you care about that person, address it to them directly. Let them make a defense for, you know, this woman that caught you smoking. Well, how about we just go up to Tom and say, hey, Tom, did I see you smoking a cigarette? And you'd be like, no, it's probably that lollipop I had bought the other day. And that would have ended it. But no, it's I don't know how this problem started within the religion, where this go directly to elder, do not pass go, do not approach your brother, send him directly to disfellowship land. I don't know when this happened.
It's directly 100% in conflict with, I'm not talking about the Bible, I'm talking about Watchtower policy, official Watchtower magazine policy. It is widely and almost entirely disregarded by the congregation, by the elders, and by the congregation at large. And I can't get over it. Here's the thing. JWs are always telling me, why can't you just, they want you to respect the religion. How can you respect people that don't even play by their own